Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the February 2024 Comprehensive Astrology. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the intuitive messages I'm getting about the month of February 2024, and I'm also going to put some astrology charts on the screen and walk us through the chronological transits coming in this month and talk about the potential meanings of those transits. I hope you're all doing really well and enjoying this incredible shift. We've had the Sun and Pluto in January entered the sign of Aquarius on the same day. I was talking about this on the community tab of this channel, which you should definitely keep in tune with as I post some different kinds of polls and announcements over there. So be sure to hit the subscribe button below and turn on the bell notifications. And if you're curious about the channel, always keep tuned to the community tab over there. Also, this channel is on various social media platforms, which I will link in the description box below. And as well, it is on Patreon. We had some wonderful free trials available in January. Those will be available for the remainder of January. And in February, they will no longer be available. So definitely check that out as well as we move up to this incredible new wave month. And let's talk about it. What am I feeling intuitively about February 2024? Okay, fast moving, different backdrop, different type of experiential flair. There's a different color palette perhaps that we're working with in our life already, or we're experimenting perhaps with a different color palette. I feel for many people that they're repackaging, restructuring, or simply placing aside some of the long-running heavy aspects of their life, and they're changing their mind about things. February 2024 is a change of heart for some people, but especially a change of mind. We don't feel the same way that we used to feel. And as I talked about in the video, the grand shift of the Sun and Pluto Grand Aquarian shift video, which I'll link below, it's not totally out of the woods yet, the Pluto and Capricorn energy. It will go back into Capricorn through retrograde in September of 2024, where it will go back into Aquarius in November, Scorpio season. So we still have a little bit of that energy to work with. It won't be until quite far into 2025 that we're totally into real Pluto and Aquarius energy. But in February 2024, it's here. Pluto is in Aquarius, and it's kind of wonderful actually that we get this sort of experimentation phase. But although it feels really new, and I felt it like seriously the day that the Sun and Pluto went in to Aquarius, and the Sun being there kind of made it more visible and more clear what that change is doing, even though at a majorly substantial level, perhaps that paradigm is not totally in yet, but we have a feeling of foresight, or we have a feeling of knowing or getting ahead or moving into that different generational context. I don't know how to explain it. One of the psychic images or feelings that I'm getting about the month of February is that it seems new, it feels new, but nonetheless, it requires a lot of precision. It requires detachment, and it really requires methodical, diligent, and capacity-rich actions. It feels like a really important time of diplomacy. It feels like, although we have this feeling of like, I'm in a brand new chapter, I'm in a brand new phase of my life, I have a different context, a different structural context that I'm working with in my life. It doesn't mean that we can be the inherent toddler archetype. It doesn't mean that we can really afford to move forward as if gravity doesn't exist. And I'm seeing that as a majorly present component of the collective psychology right now, like almost like feeling too attached, or perhaps having a false impression that there's a harness here, or that there is something that will naturally just step in, like the mother or something, or the father, or the inheritance, or the justice system, or the or some type of mainstream or status quo system that will kind of catch us if we fall. So this feels a little bit pessimistic, I know, and I don't mean it like this, but what would be better is if we were just more coordinated and more within the scope of our real capacity, where we're less likely to have any type of big fall here, or where we're less likely to mess up. So that's something that I will bring up to you guys here. Like, absolutely experiment with the new stuff. This is a time where I feel everyone's called to get out of their comfort zone, but try to offset it with a little bit of caution and precision and coordination. But then also for some people, there just are, accidents here or falls, and they're not, and I'm not even necessarily talking about in the physical world. I mean, we could consider it that way too, but it's more so like at a structural level or at a level of, conceptual navigation, right? With the sign of Aquarius, mind orientation, mental minefield kind of situation that I do feel absolutely being here with Uranus also sort of doing what it's doing in Taurus, getting so advanced, especially if you're having like a Uranus transit right now. It's just inevitable that there will be a shakeup, or there will be kind of a situation that changes the long-running status quo. But we need, first of all, as much protection as we can. So any type of harnesses, any type also of backing, support, or relationship creation is actually very beneficial in February, so that we feel less against the grain of something that threatens our capacity. Something that's really important to me about the month of February is also that the sun is between Saturn and Pluto, which is going to activate the 2020 timeline as well as the 2012 and 2013 timeline, when we had a mutual reception of Saturn and Pluto. So here in February of 2024, we're going to be integrating life experiences that happened in the 2012 or 2013 timeline, as well as the 2020 timeline. So definitely do some of your own past reversion to understand what those 3 years, the things that were coming up, the things that were motioning, and how those things may now be also kind of coming up again here in this February 2024 for a new wave kind of change once more. For some people, there is a very miraculous energy here where things that have seriously been, like 12 years, right, since 2012, 12-year problems, 12-year issues, or just 12-year lack of resolution can be wrapped up here on the best side. But also it can kind of be hard to decide to put the final touch on something that's long running like that, because it might give permanence, or it might give especially with this new feeling, with this feeling of being like a toddler for some people, or this feeling of climbing something, like climbing a mountain without the proper gear or something, to have this kind of long-running importance placed on finally solving a problem can feel daunting. But many people will do it really well just by accepting, okay, this is actually where the macro global situations right now, in a backhanded way, can support a lot of people, because you can almost justify certain changes made to status quos, or certain changes made to specifically personalized long-running pain points, simply because of certain inflationary pressures or certain destabilizing global issues. Not that we should see those things in any way as fortunate for anybody, but it's more so seeing it as like reacting to real world problems in a realistic manner that is necessary because of the way things are, which sort of shifts the paradigm, but supports, actions that resolve long-running problems that are well thought out strongly. Also a very simple and mundane intuitive message I'm getting about the month of February. Okay, so yes, we are in the dark time of the year. This one is perhaps even better for those of you who are in the Southern Hemisphere and hitting the lighter time of the year. But this is fine also for the Northern Hemisphere if you're quite strong, and especially if you have like a lot of fire in your chart to kind of support this. But you can get ahead during this time and really change the tide of the entire 2024 year cycle. So especially with things relating to the body, relating to workflows, relating to, supporting something that is bringing you more peace by being ahead of certain things. So what I mean is like enforcing such a strong regimented routine that you just start to get healthier, using time management, using routines to make things a marathon and not a sprint, stretching things out more, doing a little bit every day instead of cramming once or twice a week, eradicating stress injuries because of that. That's an interesting way to put that. So that's actually very Pluto and Aquarius. It's like almost, I'm seeing some people waging war on some of the things in their own control that have led to pain or have led to disorganization, destabilization. And that really seems done through more of a calm, stretched out time management routine rather than any sort of like grandiose shifts or changes. But there can also still be some reductions here. Of course, we have the Chinese Lunar New Year happening on the 10th of February, I believe it is, where we move from the rabbit archetype to the dragon archetype. So we have a last little opportunity for reductions. 2023 year cycle, to me, the main word, beyond every other word, keyword, was reduction. But dragon, okay, no. I mean, I'm not gonna say no, but it's just not quite as auspicious for reduction. But it's more when it moves to the dragon archetype rather than, I suppose, terming it reduction. It's almost more like destruction or overwhelm or really coming to wit's end with things rather than more peacefully reducing them. So that's a harsh kind of way to think about it. And I think it's better here in February to just take a more peaceful approach to overcoming things rather than, for example, succumbing to stress injuries, succumbing to stress, succumbing to overwhelm to the extent where some of us just have to, if we can't properly reduce things in the 2023 year cycle or here up even into February 2024, we could be looking at just like having to call in sick or having to take, mental health days, having to maybe just go on forced sabbaticals for some people, which is not bad either for some of us to just say, okay, I'm going to take a few months off in 2024, but it's not the optimum. It's not the optimum, but it's not that bad either. It's kind of like a lukewarm type of result for the 2024 year cycle. It was more in vogue in the 2023 year cycle, but honestly, not that realistic for a lot of people because of other forces. So really the main path of victory here in 2024 is stretching things out, becoming a better time manager, and making it to where you're actually able to do what's on your plate in a more regimented routine way with more creative capacity and more zest because it's not crammed or it's not procrastinated. So that's a very great victory to have. And I also feel that the universe is really working with people here in February to, for example, recede into a very solitary space and get stuff done and not be like distracted too much or not having too many things come up. You're a very lucky person also if you have the opportunity for that here. What else do I want to talk about before the astrology? I think that's pretty much all. Just remember, it's very fast moving. We'll go ahead and transition into the astrology messages here. So it's fast moving because we have Mercury, after it went retrograde in late December and January, moving very fast. It's going to move through two signs, basically here in February. So it's going to enter Aquarius on the 5th of February. And then it's going to move into Pisces on the 23rd of February. So it only spends about 2.5-3 weeks in Aquarius, and so it's moving very fast. And then we move up to a huge Pisces stellium, which I'm going to make an individual video about. Subscribe below with the bell notifications turned on, and we'll talk more about that there because that really requires a full video to expound upon. But Mercury moves really fast here. Also, it passes the Sun-Pluto conjunction. So it's going to bring to the mind conscious awareness of what the Sun-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius means for each person. So we have to be prepared for that too in February, you all, to kind of like get a clear conscious understanding of how we, every individual, are using or experiencing that just incredible transit of Sun conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. I think it's also going to bring to the collective consciousness a little bit more awareness, because I know that at least how it's felt to me as we were in the final degrees of Pluto and Capricorn, it was feeling like no one can predict exactly what's going to happen. No one can exactly know. And I was finding it somewhat obnoxious for people to try so hard to predict it. But, here we are on YouTube. But it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Predictions are fine, I guess. But it was just kind of feeling to me like we had to let go and allow things to coalesce. And certainly we can think archetypally and think in a realm of potential. But I think through the time of February 9th through February 23rd, a lot of people are going to click okay, this is what this means for me. This is what I have to move on to now. And I think that's going to feel very refreshing for a lot of people to move on or place aside certain stagnant issues and really step into the future with themselves, or to get more of a clear idea of like what they might want to aim for in the future rather than getting so constantly burdened by the long-running past. Mars also moves into Aquarius on February 13th. Venus moves into Aquarius on February 16th. We have Venus and Mars having gone from a conjunction in Sagittarius, okay, and having moved through Capricorn, and now moving into Aquarius together. This is beautiful. This is romantic. This is such a nice time to develop kind friendships, even to date or to develop love in your life in a more profound way. This is wonderful for camaraderie. This is wonderful for finding also people that you relate to in eccentric ways. Okay, Venus and Mars in Aquarius, eccentric relationships, undefinable relationships. And also, I think that it's harsh for forcing too much solitude at this point in time too, now with Venus and Mars doing what they're doing, but there are a few contradicting forces to that as well. But I feel that we have to start maybe experiencing community more here, or we have to start also being okay with, I don't know, just having open dialogues with people. It feels like an important time of diplomacy, but again, at the more personal level, it feels like a growth of relationships and a growth of eccentric relationships. This could also be at a collective level, a growth of polyamory, or a growth of undefined relationships or situationships, which I think is expanded by the Pluto sun also in Aquarius. This is really going to, at a very deep level, change relationship structures. Also, we're seeing like old constructs like marriage and monogamy kind of like being something that a lot of people just can't, fathom for themselves or something, or that a lot of people can't, even if they want it, or even if they support it, or even if they have sort of like deep inherent tendencies towards monogamy, it could lead them to not even wanting to try to date, or not even wanting to participate in the current dating culture. Definitely things with the dating culture in February of 2024 are going to really spike up. And this could like even eclipse out for some people, especially if you're involved in dating. This could eclipse out like other global dynamics, or this could eclipse out economic things, and people could just get completely consumed by experiencing dating apps, dating culture, or polyamorous relationship themes, which certainly, I won't comment on it either way. Like the purpose of me being here is certainly not to, convince people how they should live their lives, but I don't really trust it. I don't really trust that it's going to not be very chaotic for a really long time. So, for outliers, or for people who still want a traditional way, or for people who want to experience the theme of trust, for example, in their lives, there could be an interesting way that people could move into monogamous relationship constructs here. But I'm also seeing a growth, for example, of single living, a growth of celibacy, a growth of that kind of thing here. And that was already coming in, honestly, since like 2020 and 2021, when we had the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. So it's kind of like just really highlighting it. It's not like really saying we need to go any way, but it seems like a lot of people are choosing between just not participating, or being like all consumed by dating culture, or by the way that relationship constructs are changing or adapting to suit the way that the world is changing. So maybe that's another video for another day. But yeah, you could also not know it, but in February 2024, be expressing your vote for like how you want to live your life in a relationship context, like single, okay, dating around, having committed relationships, committing to marriage. This vote seems to me to kind of be cast in February 2024 for most people in their lives. So keep that in mind, as it's a good time. It's a good time to also decide, like at a deep level, like what we want and to not like yearn for like the other side of the fence, you know, because we know the choice that we've made. And whether this is like dating or business or any sphere of your life, this is a good month for deciding one way or another and not being mad or, you know, counter guessing or, you know, scrutinizing the choice that we made before and wishing that we had the other way. There's something like that the Pisces stellium, okay, coming by the end of the month is going to be washing out like these sort of like, I made this decision and I regret it, or I did this marriage and I don't want to be in it. Okay, I'm seeing dissolution of things that we've regretted. Okay, divorces from marriages that don't want to go in anymore, and also just any kind of stepping away, defecting, okay, seeking of asylum, immigration, any types of movements, and sometimes these can be desperate movements as well. Anything that's like a real kind of like last moment desperate action can also be seen here as we transition through the Lunar New Year in February and then build up to the equinox. So really, I think that we need to be talking about desperation at a thematic and archetypal conceptual level. During this time, I think that I will try to make a video about that for you guys. I'm just going to write that down because we need to really unravel that and dismantle the motivations that we're having that say, I need to take a desperate action or I need to have some type of resolution. But also, it's possible that these things have been snowballing and it's not as desperate as we think it is. So I think that that's the main key of that in sort of deconstructing desperation in our life. Is this really desperate, or has this been snowballing for a long time and is more of natural momentum? Are we thinking it's desperate when it's not? So here's where it's important to do shadow work. Here's where it's important to journal or to look back and to see all of the evidence like, okay, this is actually not desperate. This has been snowballing for a long time. Or, okay, there's really no long running momentum for this action. Do I really need to take a desperate action? That will be really important in February to sort out. And I'll just prepare you guys. Okay, I will come on and make another video about this, but by, okay, the end of the month, we are, yes, going to have a major Pisces stellium, as you can see by the charts on the screen. Saturn, Sun, Mercury, minor asteroid of Nessus, and Neptune. And wow, we are in for a conclusion. We are in for also a major cleansing, purifying, washing away. It's kind of like the energy to me of a baptism. Okay, it's the energy to me of submarines as well, or boats, or perhaps Navy. All right, marine archetypes. Maybe new marine discoveries, but all of that kind of stuff. So we have like religious rituals. We have perhaps like naval escalations, we have marine discovery, and we have also maybe a question about like sources of water or water trade, the economy of water, anything that you can imagine with water, life and death issues. All right. Yeah, all of that with this major Pisces stellium, and things are not going to be the same after we move past that time. So March is a major month, you guys. Major month. Not only do we have an equinox, okay, we have the first full month of the dragon year, we have the really getting our bearings with Pluto being in Aquarius, we have having gone through this major Pisces stellium, and we have the beginning of a build up to one of the most major eclipses in history, okay, coming later on, all right. Especially if you're in the North American continent, all right, which the center point of this eclipse will be. So thinking of it from that perspective, February becomes, this is one of my favorite, this is one of the things that astrology is best for, is like knowing that something is coming and making preparations. And maybe it's not like super glamorous right this second. Maybe it's not like the most climactic moment right now, but we know that something's coming, so we start to prepare. So here's where we get ahead. Here's where we work with routine. Here's where we don't, as some people may be inclined to, lay in bed all day and feel bad about ourselves, but we actually get up, dust ourselves off, put one foot in front of the other, and work to the best of our capacity and probably pray a little bit. Okay. Anyway, everyone, that's about it. If you enjoyed this, if you're new to this channel, my name is Sky, and I do these videos all the time. Hit the subscribe button below and turn on the bell notifications. Definitely check out the description box as well. Free trials are still available on Patreon in January. If you're getting this video in February, that promotion will have ended, but come over anyway. It's a wonderful service. I do weekly forecasts, and yes, all of the readings for each individual sign will be over on Patreon for the month of February, and they're exclusive over there. So come and check it out, get insights for all of your signs. This channel is on other social media platforms as well, which will be linked below. And as I said, keep tuned to the community tab if you're curious to keep updated to the channel, as I try to keep things fresh over there. And good luck in February, everyone. Have a wonderful month. Bye.